Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Incha piso kammang karoti papakang kayena vacha udaceta ababho sotassa paticchādāya ababhatā diṭṭha padassavuttā idampi saṅghē ratanam panītam etena saccena vatti hotu. Venerable Chief Naikahamdro, Venerable says, friends and children in the Dhamma, good evening and welcome to our Saturday Dhamma talk. We are continuing Ratana Sutta. Today, we are explaining another virtue belong to the jewel of Saṅgha, the commune of the Buddha. Now, in the former stanza, if you can recall, we talked about abhabbata, incapabilities or inclination of doing 6 kind of crimes. We call them the heinous crimes. Now, in this stanza, what we are going to explain today, also explaining another abhabbata, another kind of inability of the stream winner, the one who attained to the stage of Sotapanna or stream entry. So this verse is committed to explain, to clarify that inability as a quality of the one who attained to the stage of stream entry. Now, we know, again, if you can recall, that someone who attains to this present stage or to the lowest stage in the Buddhist path towards Nibbana, called this Sotapanna. There are 2 ways. One way is to listen to the Buddha, to be vulnerable to the Buddha's teaching, and then let those teachings of Buddha to transform you. By listening to the Buddha, one attains to this first stage of sainthood. Those who are not that fortunate can develop their practice based on Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Sila represents the moral background, Samadhi, serenity on the surface level of the mind, and then Panya, the wisdom, meditation of Vipassana is related to that. So, through these developments in the spirituality, sila, samadhi, panya, one attains to a certain level of wisdom. In that level of wisdom, he destroys, eliminates three types of fetters. They are types of defilements, but these defilements function as bondages to the samsara. They bind beings to the round of birth and death. Hence they are called Saṅgha or fetters. These fetters are the ones that get eliminated in these stages of the supramundane path. So in the first stage of the supramundane path, as he attains to that stage, he destroys Sakkaya Ditthi, false self-view, personality view. We explained them. We explained it in our last talk. Then doubt or perplexity in the mind on the path is destroyed. And then the silabbata paramasa, attachment or adherence to wrong types of views in the idea of getting liberation from those rites and rituals. Now, when these three types of fetters are eliminated, his wisdom is established in this stage of stream entry permanently. His consciousness cannot fall down below a certain point. The positivity of the consciousness is stuck in a certain level. It can only reach higher than that, never decline to any negativity below that level. But just these three fetters are eliminated. It means there are deeper and subtle, most powerful, stronger defilements are on the way. As long as there are defilements within you, it means there's a possibility that you can be persuaded to do, to say, to think. Inappropriate or unwholesome thoughts, words, and actions from that person, even though he has attained to that first stage of stream entry. Now, these unwholesome deeds can be categorized in two formats. First is the natural or universal type of unwholesome deeds that can happen from anyone. Being religious or not, being acceptable to a religion or not, religious or not, without any differences, any human being who has a common sense will vehemently reject these kinds of unwholesome deeds. They should be avoided. So they are called loka vajja. The universal moral codes, loka vajja, universally rejected. What are they? Killing, stealing, wrongful sexual conduct or sexual misconduct, physically. Now, you don't need a religion to say these are wrong. Universally accepted. No religion in the world which has the roots based on common sense can deny that these activities are moral. These activities are righteous. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. Then from mouth, lying, slandering, harsh words, and vain talk of frivolous talk. Lies are never accepted by any cultured society, by any civilized society. So also harsh words and gossip and also frivolous talk, useless blabber, vain talk. Universally accepted as they are useless, as they are harmful, as they are troublemaking. So, loka vajja, universally should be avoided. Then from mind, wrong views, miccāditthi, covetousness, extreme attachment, extreme greed, and hatred. Wrong views, covetousness, and hatred. These are the moral transgressions of any human being, of any individual in the world. Then the second type of observation are the paññatti vajja. These are promulgated by Buddha. Lord Buddha, with the aspiration that his monastic followers would behave in such a particular manner, dissimilar to the people at home, people outside the monastic life. He promulgated precepts specially limited to those monks and nuns in the temples. These precepts have different ideal behind when the Buddha promulgated them. He promulgated these precepts for monks and nuns, especially higher ordinated monks and nuns, upasampada bhikkhu bhikkhunis, to follow for the different purposes. In one way, to ensure the rightly behaving monks and nuns to have a less difficult life. These precepts promulgated to suppress the wrongdoers or mischief makers, so that those well-behaving students of Buddha can have a peaceful life. Another reason, for the quick or fast development in the spirituality, monks and nuns who follow these rules, they create such a lifestyle and they develop fast on their spiritual progress. Another reason, for the longevity of the monastic order, for the longevity of the dispensation of the Buddha. Another one, to create a civilized, well-behaving monastic order, bhikkhu and bhikkhuni order. They are behaving so well. And they are behaving all alike. There is no one person behaving higher or lower than another person. All the monks and nuns behave in a similar pattern. So these are the purposes when Buddha promulgated these precepts for the monks and nuns to follow. So these two types of precepts, to thwart, to hinder the violation of moral codes in the world. I just gave you those 10 unwholesome causes of action. Dasa akusala kammapatha. It is for all. It is for all individuals, in spite of being belong to different religions, different castes, different languages, different skin colors, different countries. In spite of belonging to any of these differences, if somebody breaks these precepts, in the present life itself, he will see that he is becoming a suspicious, an object for suspicion. Nobody trusts that person. Can you trust somebody steals? Can you trust somebody kills? His fame is gone. His name is tarnished. His wealth is being destroyed. In this life itself, he's going down, and in the next life, in the subsequent lives, only the misery follows him, nothing else. And the second type of this paññattivajja, that the Buddha promulgated precepts to avoid those non-becoming behavior for the monastics, to make sure their spiritual journey is smooth, protected, and fast. And this dispensation of the Buddha to last long. So, if we relate this idea to the stanza today, it is better we can check on the meaning of the stanza. Incha piso kammang karoti papakang. Any evil action he may still commit. Inchapi, still commit. Why he is still committing evil? Because I just explained to you, he has got rid of three fetters: Sakkaya Ditti, Vichikicha, Silabbata Paramas. The rest of the fetters are on the way. So those fetters are still very much alive in him, the one who has attained to the Sotapanna. So there's a possibility those fetters can persuade him, blind him, push him to do some wrongful, mischievous actions from his words, actions, or thinking. There's a possibility. Because of this possibility, that person is completely perfect, yet is liable to make mistakes. So the verse continue. Kayena vacha udaceta. Three doors of action: by body, speech, or mind. Ababho sotas patichadaya. Now, if such an activity, which is wrong, which belong to the two categories I just mentioned, belong to the worldly category and belong to the Buddha's dispensation, if any of the mistakes or any of the wrongful activities happened, what happened to this Sotapanna person? He is incapable of concealing it. Ababho. Ababho means incapable of concealing it. Patichadaya, concealing. He is incapable of concealing it. Then next line explains why he is incapable of concealing it. Ababhata ditta padasansavutta. Because ditta padas, he has seen the path. He has seen the path. Yeah. Now, we know that when the explanation of the Dhamma or the virtues of the Dhamma, when we chant every day, the Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo, Sandittiko, Akaliko, Ehi Passiko. What does it mean? Come and see. Ehi, come, passa, see. But actually it is not something we have to take literally to get the meaning. Come and see means come and experience. So Ditta Padassa, who has seen the path, Padas the path, Ditta, seen. That means who have experienced the supramundane fruition. In this case, the first fruition, Sotapatti Phala. So who has experienced the Sotapanna fruition, Sotapanna Phala? He is there. His intelligence is there. And he is incapable of concealing even a slight error of his life, which is not suitable for the one who is developing, continuing on his spirituality and trying to attain enlightenment. So he reveals it. Reveals to whom? Reveals his fault, his mistake to his fellow companions in the practice, one who are practicing together. Yeah. Why this revelation is that important for him? Because he can move on. He can move on in his practice without any slight of error or some kind of disappointment or some kind of power that which is pulling him back. He can move on because his consciousness is clear. Since I have not eliminated all the fetters, I am still incapable of controlling them. Whenever I am negligent, whenever I am not so mindful, those fetters can drive me to do wrong. There is nothing to be ashamed of. So when I commit any such wrong kind of action, any such misconduct, I just reveal to my fellow companions in the practice. Then I am clear. I have cleared my consciousness, nothing to hide in it, so I can move on in my practice. This is the idea. So how is that honest now? How he has become that kind of honest now? Because he has no personality view. Persona is not his maintenance anymore. Why we are incapable of revealing our weaknesses, our mistakes, our wrong steps to others? Because we have a persona to maintain. We don't want others to know my weakness, our weaknesses, my faults. They must be hidden within me. If others know, if others got to know about it, I will be ashamed. My personality is destroyed. Yeah. What would they think about me if I reveal all my mistakes, errors to others? Because we are maintaining a certain kind of colored balloon-like persona, personality. We are wearing a mask to hide our inner real self. So we are always hiding. But this hiding is a burden. This hiding is a kind of a prison. So Buddha explains a beautiful virtue in somebody who has attained to the Sotapanna stage, that he never hides his weaknesses, his faults. If he is to reveal them, if he finds that this hiding is holding me back, stopping my progress in the spiritual development, he just reveal it, get rid of it, ask for forgiveness, and go on. Yeah. This is the second kind of, or the second inability of a Sotapanna. First inability, first abhabbata, we explained in the former stanza, is incapable of committing any kind of 6 heinous crimes. And this stanza says that he is incapable of hiding any of his mistakes, because he has seen what is beyond this mundane. For him, what values is not the mundane anymore. For him, what values is supramundane. He has seen ditta padassa. He has seen the Dhamma. He has experienced the Dhamma. He has experienced what is beyond mundane, what is beyond the worldly level, he has experienced the supramundane. For him, what is valuable, what matters is achieving those supramundane goals, not the mundane level anymore. So if there is anything he finds that impure, that smear mud on his pure morality, he will cleanse them away. He will remove them away. How he will remove all those dirtiness on his morality? By declaring them, by telling his fellow practitioners of his mistakes, weaknesses, of the faults he committed. He will declare them and he will cleanse, he will get cleaned with that declaration. So that is the idea of this stanza. Inchapiso kammang karoti papakam. Any evil action he may still commit. Ayena vacha udacetasawa. By body, speech, or mind. Ababho sotassa patichadaya. Is incapable of concealing it. Abhabbata ditta padasansavutta. For it is said that incapability is of one who has attained to the path. Idampi Saṅghe Ratanam Panitam. Verily in the Saṅgha is this superb jewel. Etena Satchena Swati Hotu. By the virtue of this truth, may there be peace. So with that, let's move on to the next verse. Vanapagumbe yata pussitagge gimhanamase patamasmin gimhe tatupamang dhammavaram adesai nibbanagaming paramang hitaya idampi buddhe ratanam panitang etena satchena swatanti hotu. Now, this is a virtue of the Buddha. When Buddha shares Dhamma with the world, it is a pure sharing. It is his purity, that immense purity, like a lotus flower. Buddha himself compared to a lotus flower which has taken birth in the mud, lived and existed in the mud, came out of the mud, existing without touching the mud, and flourishing and beautifying, emanating fragrance, dispelling the stench in the mud. That beautiful lotus beautify the world. Buddha is just like that beautiful lotus, so pure. Such a beautiful example is here for the teachings of the Buddha. Buddha himself is like a flower. It signifies his purity, that immense purity within him. As he achieved that purity, what happened is, out of that purity, there were beautiful qualities arose in him. The unconditional love. Base is the purity. Why it is unconditional? Because in purity, you have no defilements. You have no demands. You have no any kind of ulterior motives. You have no expectations at all. Expectations, demands, ulterior motives are byproducts of defilements. When you have those defilements within you, whatever love arises you, whatever love you have also have demands, conditions. Unconditional love can arise only in a heart which has found the ultimate purity. Buddha's heart has found that purity. Metta arises in that heart. Compassion, karuna arise in that heart. Altruistic joy, mudita arise in that heart. Equanimity, upekha arise in that heart. Beautiful qualities, virtues, infinitely valuable arise in that beautiful heart. It is like they are the byproducts of that purity. They are the outcomes, natural outcomes of someone who has attained to that purity. Yeah. So the words came out of the Buddha, came out just like flowers. The audience who allow these flowers to come to them, these flowers beautified them, made the world beautiful because of the words that came out of the Buddha's ultimate purity. They were like flowers. Vanapagumbe yatha pussitagge. As a woodland grove is crowned with blossoming flowers. Vanapagumba. Vanapagumba is a kind of a forest where trees are existing so close to each other. And each of these trees are full of flowers on their boughs, on their branches, on their crowns, on the top of the trees. All the trees are full of flowers. Yatha pussitagge. Now this is the simile. This is the picture. Maybe this is some kind of a general vision, general view. Maybe people have seen such shrub jungles, such woodland groves, vanapagumba. Gimhana mase patamasmin gimhe. Now, this line explains when this kind of vision can be witnessed. During the heat of the first month of the summer, Gimhana mase patamasmin gimhe. During the heat, Gimhana mase, Patamasmin Gimhe, of the first month of the summer. What is that first month of the summer? April. Commentaries, it says that it is the spring, beginning of spring. Summer begins with the spring, they say. Yeah. At that time, not so hot, not so cold. Ideal environment for the trees to blossom, for the trees to bear flowers. In that ideal environment, all the trees have produced their flowers to beautify the world. Now, this is the simile. Then the next line says, Tatupamang Dhamma Varang Adesai. Even so sublime Dhamma, he explained. Adesai, he explained, he uttered. Tatupamang, even so. Just as the beautiful woodland grove, which is full of flowers, like one stretch of flowers, one carpet of flowers. Yeah, everywhere flowers. Such a beautiful sight and such a significant sight. Such a Dhamma was taught by Lord Buddha. Tatupamang Dhamma Varang, sublime Dhamma, Varang, sublime, noble Dhamma Adesai, he uttered. And this Dhamma, Nibbana Gaming Paramang Hitaya, this Dhamma is ideally suitable, Nibbana Gaming, to reach Nibbana, Nirvana. Now, all the Dhamma Buddha taught is ultimately directing to that destination, Nibbana. Nirvana is the Buddha's destination. Whatever he taught, 45 years, he taught keeping the destination, the Nibbana, nothing else. Yeah. Worldly destination is not the Buddha's plan or idea to express. Supramundane destination of Nibbana is always his goal. Nibbana Gaming Paramang Hitaya, leading to the Nibbana, which is expounded for the highest good. Now, let's look at this example or the simile a little bit. Why Buddha compared the flowers full of a shrub jungle. This shrub jungle, this woodland grove, look like wearing a dress made out of flowers. Yeah, such a beautiful sight. And there are so much of different flowers, big flowers, small flowers, red color, white, yellow color. Yeah, different colors of flowers, different types of flowers. Some are full of fragrance, some are not so. Some are in different shapes, different sizes, but each and every flower is beautifying this world. Each and every flower is valuable to the world. In spite of their different colors, different hue, different size, whether they are full of fragrance or not, each and every flower is beautifying this world, important for this world. They have their own function. Yeah. Sacha Dhamma. It means Buddha taught this Dhamma, which is directing one, whoever listen to Nibbana, in different proportions, in different techniques, in different methods, using different similes, different metaphors, using different stories, examples. Some are lengthy talks, some are short talks, some are just a stanza. In different situations to different groups of people, Buddha taught differently. That's why you can see thousands and thousands of suttas are there in all these documented Pitakas. Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, Khuddaka Nikaya. Long sutras, sutras in the medium size, hindered sayings, concise sutras, all sorts of sutras are there. And all sorts of different explanations are there. But all these explanations, all these sutras, Nibbānagamim Paramāṅ-hitaya, ultimately useful, suitable, convenient to attain Nibbana, go to Nibbana. Only difference is he got different crowds. Individuals who came to see him, who met him, are different. Being the supremely enlightened Buddha, when an individual came to him, he understands that individual better than that individual. In the sense, he can see, the Lord Buddha could see the capability, the levels of understanding, the levels of intelligence, his educational background, his social background, his religious background. Complete picture of that person is obvious, laid down in front of the Buddha. He is completely exposed to the Buddha. His inner being is completely understood by Buddha. You cannot hide yourself in front of a Buddha. So Buddha knows what kind of a beginning he has to scoop down to the level of that individual. From that level, he raised him. He raised him to the levels of supramundane, sotapanna, sakadagami, anagami, arahant. To the deserved level of supramundane was presented by raising from that level of that particular individual. Yeah. So that's why different types of explanations are there. There is nothing to argue. Sometimes Buddha explains feelings in triple manner. Sukha dukkha, adukkama sukha. And in some other places, you can find the feelings are explained in a different way. Sometimes it is explained up to the 108 types of feelings. In one of the suttas, Buddha explained to this. Because one monk in Majjhima Nikaya, this incident is recorded, that one monk and As I remember, Panchakanga, a carpenter, one of the Buddha's disciples, they were arguing. What are the kinds of feelings that the Buddha presented? Panchakanga said, this much is the feelings that the Buddha is presenting. This monk is saying, no, you are wrong. This much of feeling Buddha has presented. The Buddha arrived to the midst of this argument, and Buddha explained, you are both correct and you are both wrong. You are correct, yes, I have presented that much of feelings. You are wrong because I have never stuck to that number, that figure of feelings. I have explained in different manner to different individuals, to their understanding level. So, like a woodland grove is full of different flowers, the teachings of the Buddha also full of different types of teachings, but directing just to a singular goal of Nibbana. So it's an ideal presentation of a simile to compare the teachings of the Buddha. And whoever listened to the Buddha, they transformed their lives. Transformed by eradicating, by removing the garbage. When they are removing the garbage, what happened? Flowers arise. There are flowers within us. But that flower, the scent, the fragrance of the flower is suppressed because of the domineering garbage of anger, hatred, jealousy, ill will, greed, covetousness. That garbage is hindering the presence of the flower. The flowers are there. Buddha's teaching is remove the garbage. When you are removing the garbage, there will be a natural upcoming of the flowers. You don't need to dump the flowers from outside. Flowers are there already. You remove the garbage, flowers will arise naturally. So Buddha is such a person, and he taught the Dhamma for that purpose. He taught Dhamma to remove garbage. What is the path to remove garbage? Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Sila, quiet down, calm down, the most gross level or the most superficial level of physical, verbal, and mental also. Especially physical and verbal levels. Then Samadhi, find the serenity in the mind. Surface level again, surface level serenity. With that surface levels of serenity, you can observe, you can see through your mind and look at the garbage underneath, in the bottom level. In the bottoms, there are garbage, full of garbage. Yeah. All the accumulated garbage are there. When you are seeing them, the sana, seeing them is removing them. When you are seeing them, you are removing them. Because you are seeing through wisdom that these are impermanent, these are suffering, these are non-self. In our next talk, we will be explaining that clearly. We explained already again. When you are removing them, the garbage, the ultimate purity of yourself is arising. In that ultimate purity, what do you find? Only the flowers. Compassion, unconditional love. Equanimity, altruistic joy in its pristine quality, in its natural quality, is found when you are removing the garbage. Right? So Buddha said, Dhamma out of purity. Thus Dhamma is naturally arisen from him. It is a natural teaching. It is not something he learned, something he learned from somebody else. It is not something he borrowed from somebody. It is something that came out from a ultimate purity. And he taught this Dhamma for the sake of the people to find their own ultimate purity. Yeah. Because the purity is there within us. The trees, they have such a beautiful fragrance within them. It is natural. In the winter, they cannot express their beauty in the form of flowers or leaves. They have to hide it. Why? The environment is not supporting. As soon as the summer is arriving, when the summer is young, in the spring, the ideal time comes. When the ideal times arising, the trees, seeing that it is the suitable time, they start expressing their fragrance in the form of flowers. Not that the trees think, okay, I must produce flowers. They have so much of fragrance within them, they cannot help. They cannot help but to express that fragrance, to share that fragrance with the world in the form of flowers. It is just a sharing. It is not even giving. Giving is always intentional. Based on intentions, we give. And intention is always unwholesome. Yeah. Because that intention has expectations to receive something back. Do those trees expect anything from anybody? No, it is a natural sharing. The trees are just like Buddha. Buddha just shared for 45 years, like a one stretch of flowers every day, without ever taking a break. Every day he was sharing his flowers with the world, and the world got beautiful because of his flowers. Vanapagumbe yatha pussitagge, as a woodland grove is crowned with blossoming flowers. Gimhana kale patamasmin gimhe, during the heat of the first month of the summer. Tatupamang Dhammavarang adesai, even so sublime Dhamma he expounded. Nibbanagaming paramang hitaya, leading to Nibbana, which he expounded for the highest good. Idampe buddhe ratanang panitang, verily in the Buddha is this superb jewel. Etena satchena swati hotu, by the power of this truth, may there be peace. That's enough for today. May Devas, we rejoice with our merits. May our ancestors, we rejoice with our merits. Let's share our merits together with Devas and with our ancestors. Akasata cha bummatta devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu lokasasanam. Akasata cha bummatta devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu lokasasanam. Akasata cha bummatta devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu lokasasanam. Idam me ñātinang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idam me ñātinang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idam me ñātinang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Blessings for you. Dukkha roga bhayavera soka sabbe upaddava Anekantarayapi vinassantu cha tejasa Jaya siddhidanang labhang satti bhagyan sukham balam Hiriyayu cha vanno cha bhogam buddhi cha yasava Tatavassa cha ayu cha jiva siddhi bhavantu te Ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha Ato nibbana sampatti iminate samijjatu. Sadhu, sadhu.